On today's show,
What advice would you give to other parents who may be considering homeschooling?
Well, the first advice I would give is just
No, you're
trust your
fine.
instincts
Oh,
and knowing that even in our imperfections as parents, we love and know our children most of all. Also, we will learn by example. So if our children see us reading or listening to audiobooks, for example, then they may also acquire that desire to learn and appreciation for literacy. And also, I would say, as believer and trusting God as well as the many faceted gifts that He has placed in you as the parent and homeschooler, because He knows you're not perfect, but He knows your heart and He trusts you enough with your child.
yes.
And forgive yourself when making mistakes.
Oh, yes. That's a big one.
welcome to Education Today. I'm your host, Solanke. I spent 15 years in the secondary classroom teaching English, reading, and social studies. I've also been on the other side as a parent of 3 children who have completed the formal schooling years of kindergarten through 12th grade and are now in the college and career stage. Now I'm here to have conversations with teachers, administrators, school staff, students, and parents about all things education. Join me as I cover current topics in education from preschool through to college, career, and beyond.
So, welcome to
Okay.
today's show. My guest today is a homeschooling mother that I met online. And she stood out to me because I do not know too many Black women who homeschool. And I met her on a Facebook page for Christian authors, I believe. And yeah, she stood out to me. So I was intrigued and I wanted to know more. So we did get to talking, and eventually I invited her on the show to tell us all about that homeschooling experience. So welcome to the show, Kimberly Scott.
Oh, thank you, Sakura. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so appreciative and genuinely elated to be here.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a huge fan of your show.
Oh, thank you. I can't hear that too much. And I love that you pronounce my name so well. First
Oh,
time.
thank you.
Good for you.
Oh, thank you.
So Kimberly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. I am a mother, a virtual homeschooling parent / learning coach.
Mhm.
Some of my experiences and endeavors include being an author, partner of a travel business. My backgrounds also include some ministry as well as about 20 collective years in healthcare administration.
Mhm.
I'm in the process of returning to complete my college studies in theology.
Oh, wow. So a healthcare
And
admin, you don't do that
yes,
anymore?
no, not at the moment.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes I do consider returning. There's some things that I actually miss about it,
Mhm. Yeah.
but I've definitely had a lot of life lessons
Yeah.
as far as patient advocacy
Yeah.
and empathy
Yeah.
with others, and I carry it with me,
Yeah.
even though I'm not currently in that background at the moment. But it was definitely a good experience.
Yeah. You also mentioned that you're an author. What books have you published?
Yes, so I have published self-care books to help inspire other women who
Mhm.
have gone through grief and
Oh,
tragedy, especially if it's traumatic.
yes.
And I published a self-care planner under the name of first initial K, Dawn Scott.
Also K. Dawn Scott.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So it is a self-care planner that I published through Amazon.
Uh-huh.
And basically, just after experiencing the insurmountable pain of losing my mother, I just really been on a quest to help other women create healthy outlets,
Yeah.
through grief and heartache and so forth that I can definitely relate to firsthand.
Yeah.
And plus, too, I definitely needed to keep my mind busy as possible.
Yeah.
So I did publish that while still homeschooling,
Oh, okay.
miraculously, as well as the sketchbooks for kids, which inspires children as well to have creative outlets. My son is a fantastic artist. We love drawing, by the way.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
my most recent book that I published is Premier Mavericks,
Mm-hmm.
which is a balancing business and homeschooling in the modern world. And it is geared to assisting busy mompreneurs on remote/slash homeschooling tips as they balance their busy careers while homeschooling.
Yeah. Well, those sounds like great resources to have.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
I like how
Thank
you
you.
continue to reinvent yourself. That's awesome. A
Oh,
Renaissance
thank
woman.
you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's a huge compliment.
yeah.
That definitely. I learned from my mother the gift of resiliency,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I definitely try to implement that with my son.
Mm-hmm.
Like when she passed, I did not want my son to see me break.
Yeah.
And so I want to be a firsthand example, is basically what I'm trying to say. I
Yeah.
want to be a firsthand example about, okay, if life um, pretty much T-bones you up in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
just know that God is there, to trust in God, and
Yeah.
that He will naturally recalibrate and get you back on the right track.
Yeah. That's good. So let's talk about homeschooling. So,
Yes,
what prompted the decision for you to homeschool your son? Sorry, how old is your son?
he is 8 going on 9.
All right. So you have an 8-year-old. What prompted
Mhm.
the decision to homeschool him, and how long have you been doing this?
Well, I have been actually homeschooling for about 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was during I believe it may have been the 2019 through 2020 school year, in which my son was in transitional kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that was due to the pandemic itself.
Oh, so
He was
you
in,
started
Mhm.
homeschooling because of the pandemic?
Yes,
I
yes,
see.
ma'am. That's what prompted the homeschooling, my personal homeschooling journey with my son.
Oh, okay.
So my son's public school district transitioned to remote learning.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that may have been maybe the first part of the first semester, if I'm not mistaken.
I see. Yeah.
And I was not very satisfied. He really didn't have the best education
Mm-hmm.
under the public school system that he was in.
Yeah.
So I had eventually just transitioned him over to 100% distance learning platform.
Oh, okay.
And I believe I transferred him over in the first grade because at that time I was just fed up
Oh,
with the public school system.
yeah. So,
Hmm.
at the time you transferred him over to 100% homeschooling, was it
Yes,
still
ma'am.
remote learning in the public schools, or had the kids gone
Yes,
back?
it was still remote learning
I see.
at the time. I believe now it may be optional if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah. S-
but I just wanted him 100% distance learning
Yeah.
because I just figure as far as the educational content, it would be still in a sense more of a enriched curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
educational curriculum.
Yeah. So what was it that he wasn't
Hmm.
getting in public schools that you wanted to give him in homeschooling?
Well, I just didn't seem to feel that his teachers in the public school system really understood him firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
They would assume, that he wasn't feeling well when he was just bored with the lesson, for
Yeah.
example, or with the influx of the changes with the homeschool curriculum, the changing over. And I believe that they actually outsourced some of their homeschool curriculum to a third party,
Mm-hmm.
actually, who was they were not prepared to host the huge capacity of a full school system.
Oh,
So
when the
they,
school went remote, right?
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly. So it would be times, Sakura, where they would take maybe 2 to 3 weeks to get back to me,
Oh, wow.
I believe, over the summer,
Yeah.
for example. And I was like, oh no, if they're doing this over the summer, I really do not feel comfortable keeping him in the public school
Yeah.
system. And then um, I really wanted to spend quality time with my son Keaton. I
Yeah.
believe that he learns best from me,
Yes.
knowing that I love him the most.
Mm-hmm.
I love and understand him the most.
Yeah.
So I'm very, hands-on with my son. I love my son immensely,
Yeah.
and he's of course thriving.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah. I mean, so when COVID hit, my middle child was a senior in high school, so he missed out on so much, some of which he really doesn't care
Mm.
about. I think I, as a mother, cared more that he wasn't going to prom than he did. But he
Oh no.
missed out on all those senior events, like even
Oh,
graduation. But
oh
as
okay.
much as I feel it for him and his classmates, I really feel it for those who were starting kindergarten during COVID. I
Mm.
mean, that must have been
Oh, okay.
so rough.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
because you can't take place of the in-person play, of course,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at least they do have the virtual settings, where they can engage and so forth. I know I do have a family member that didn't get to go to prom.
Yeah.
I believe, yes, I
Yeah.
believe that COVID hit during what would have been their prom like senior year, and
Yeah.
they didn't get to go to graduation either. So that was hard for them, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. It was rough. As I said, my son, I cared more than my son. He really didn't care.
Mm.
If he had been
Oh,
a
okay,
girl, it
yeah,
would have been different. But he was like,
right.
I don't care about prom.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I know that was a relief for you, huh?
But I was like, oh no, he doesn't get to do all these, rites of passage.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
when you decided to homeschool,
Mhm.
where did you begin to look to try and find resources, like in curriculum, and how did you
Oh,
finally
right.
decide on one?
Well, the experience can definitely be quite daunting.
Yeah, I can imagine.
you know, it's like, okay, where do I start? And then when you go, it's like just everything comes up.
Yeah,
But of course, my first thing that I noticed, of course, first resource was ABC Mouse because of the commercials.
yeah.
And I have found that has been most beneficial for Kaden.
Oh,
And it really helped facilitate his cohesiveness of his general elementary knowledge.
yeah.
I found that OutSchool also has helped them out a lot
What's it called?
as far OutSchool, which is
Outschool.
it's like a supplemental online platform,
Yeah.
which has been good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of course, YouTube, my favorite.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've actually used that a lot in the classroom when
Oh,
as a
okay.
teacher. Yeah.
Right. It's like endless possibilities right on YouTube.
Yeah. So, do you use any what's the word, like a national curriculum?
Well, I just basically use the online platform that's given to us by his school.
Oh,
Um,
I see.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. So
but his
the school district.
provides,
Oh, okay.
right.
I
Yes,
see.
the school district provides the curriculum mandates for English as well as math, science, social studies.
Oh, I see, for the core subjects. Okay.
hmm
And then
Right.
you just add to
So,
that.
right.
That's
Yes, ma'am. I supplement.
okay. Oh, that's awesome.
hmm
So it really is
Yes,
kind of
and
like, go ahead,
hmm
sorry.
and it's actually a lot as far as the workload, because as learning coaches, we are still required to give about maybe close to 90% of the instructions
Okay. Yeah.
ourselves. So we're like scrambling to find resources and so forth, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Most of us love it and appreciate it.
I see. So if the school district is providing you guys with, I guess it sounds like an outline, uh,
Yes, exactly.
like a skeleton curriculum. Are
Right.
you or is your son answerable to them in terms of, like, does he have to do like testing every year to see his?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So he does do the state testing at the end of the year as well as at the beginning of the year.
I see. Pre-test, post-test. Okay.
hmm
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Is he able to do that at home, or does he have to go into the school?
No, he's able to do it remotely.
Okay. Oh, okay.
hmm
That
Thankfully, that's
yeah. So,
really convenient.
yeah, it sounds like the way your state, California, is doing it is doable.
hmm
It's not too overwhelming. Because I know
Right.
a lot of other homeschoolers, they have to go and find their own curriculum outside.
Hmm.
But at least you
Oh,
have like a
okay.
skeleton, you know?
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
it's definitely helpful and beneficial for us so that we at least know where to start, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So you have this curriculum, the school district gives you
Yes,
like an
ma'am.
outline, and then you
Yes.
you are augmenting it and supplementing it with the other
Hmm.
resources. So
Yep.
how do you structure your child's day and your day to stay organized?
Right. That's a great question. So I do get Keaton up around 8 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And what I start with are, like you mentioned, the core subjects, the most important English, math at first.
Yeah.
What I do is for his upcoming English, for example, I attempt to have him do his coursework before the related class. So
Mm-hmm.
that way, when a teacher teaches the subject, he's ready and he's, engaged in the conversations and he has had some of the workbook activity
Mm-hmm.
instruction already.
Yeah.
Or sometimes, Sakura, what I do as well is that I will find YouTube videos of the subject that they're going to teach in the English or the math, and I would play it for him, which will break it down into like, um, baby morsels in a sense,
Yeah.
so that when he has the live instruction, he has a good grasp.
Okay. Okay, so he has like 10% live instruction,
Pretty much, right?
and then 90% you
Hmm.
supplement, and you not necessarily supplement, but you are supporting
Right.
the 10% instruction.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
okay. All right.
Yes.
Yeah. And some people will actually call
And
that remote learning rather than homeschooling, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we use the terms interchangeably,
Mm-hmm.
but it is technically remote learning
Yeah.
slash homeschooling, especially in California, at least. A lot of times we use the term homeschooling,
Yeah.
but we know that with our homeschooling, it could be either technically remote learning or 100% individual homeschool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So because I'm just thinking about myself, and I'd just be like, I'd wake up one day and think, I'm really not in the mood today. I'm not in the mood.
Oh,
Let's go play in the
uh-huh.
park. So how do
Yes.
you keep yourself on track and keep him on track?
Oh, well, when I wake up in the morning, I do go over his lesson plans for the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just pretty much start with the most important. And then I may kind of like bookmark it with a less important, for example,
Mm-hmm.
so that by the end of the day, he would have completed all of his assignments.
Yeah.
So, for example, if it's English, I may you know, attach the English with something that he can do very quickly, like a brief social studies or something,
Yes.
because he loves learning about people and history. So I can plug in his social studies assignment at the end of the English, for example, before
Okay.
he takes this break.
Yeah.
And I found that helps because my son, he does, um, he loves his breaks on a regular basis. But I know for me, if I give him a break after every subject, I won't complete necessarily
Yeah.
the day. So I do try to, I guess, batch them in a sense,
Yeah.
so that it can still be doable for both of us.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has his regular breaks while we still get a good amount of the lessons done.
Yeah. So I know that a
Can,
lot of homeschooling parents that they have these groups where maybe once a week they meet up, maybe in a park or
hmm
like a field trip, and create like a
Yes.
support system for themselves. Do you have anything
Mm.
like that?
Well, I actually follow the homeschooling groups that I belong to on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
which I has been very beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Seeing other mothers' stories as well and so forth. And some of the Facebook groups that I follow include Homeschooling for Beginners and Support, which is awesome. Awesome resources, especially for the new homeschooling mothers.
Oh, okay.
We also have Los Angeles Homeschooling Family Social and Support Group.
Mm-hmm.
as well as Homeschooling Southern California.
Anything close to you where you can meet up with people?
Um, yes, I don't attend, but do have several homeschooling Facebook groups that do meet up in person.
Oh, okay. That's a good
Hmm.
resource to have. So you don't feel
Yes,
isolated being home all the time, right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I
And then,
remember.
of course, I do believe in, taking him on, individual trips,
Hmm.
to the aquarium and so forth, and
Yeah.
he gets to see other children.
Oh, okay. How often do you get to do those field trips?
I try to take him maybe twice a month if possible. Hoping it's more.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe once a week would be great if I
Yeah.
can get it to that point.
Yeah.
Over
Okay.
the summer, I'm gonna do a lot of research as far as that goes
Hmm.
to see what field trips that I can take him on, especially for the new year when he's entering his third grade.
Okay. So do you take
Hmm.
a complete break in the summer from schooling?
Well, I take a semi break.
Okay.
So basically, during his technical homeschooling, I will enroll him back in Outlook, which is the virtual educational program,
Hmm.
supplemental program, online program, in which I'll get them enrolled in English refreshers, reading, writing,
Yeah.
math, basic homeschool tutoring in a sense
Yeah.
over the summer,
Yeah.
as well as he wants to take his art class.
Oh, that's right. You said he's an artist.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, he loves Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh. Oh, does he draw that a lot?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of kids like to draw Sonic for some reason. That's
Yes,
interesting.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yes, they are the biggest homes Sonic the Hedgehog fans.
Yeah.
My son, he absolutely loves coloring Sonic, and he's gotten so well that I told him that he could probably be a cartoonist maybe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
Hmm. He
So
definitely has a talent. Mhm.
it sounds like he's thriving and doing very well with homeschooling.
Yes.
Um, do you feel that he is missing out on anything by not being in a physical school with other students?
Mm, not as much, not
Mm-hmm.
really overall. I believe that the pros outweighs the cons
Yeah.
in a lot of ways because again, he does get to engage with his online friends every day. He does have a best friend out of state that he plays Roblox on
Oh,
every day, so he's
Roblox.
very interactive
Yeah.
when it comes to his online friends. And then also, it's like where I am definitely concerned about potential bullying for him,
Yeah.
and I want to shield that from him,
Yeah.
as much as possible. So I believe that at least in his elementary years, God willing, he can at least be homeschooled
Mm-hmm.
while I consider, public in-person school maybe when he's older
Yeah.
and he can return.
Oh, okay. So
Mhm.
maybe middle school or high school.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, probably middle school, I think would be, teenage years would be good to kind of physically intermingle with other teenagers.
Yeah. I don't know. I taught middle school. It was rough.
Oh, really?
Those were rough years.
Okay. Oh, no.
No, no, he'll be fine. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I can imagine it's probably even more rough now from what you remember because I see like the videos of how wild the kids are now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's a different thing now since COVID.
and right, exactly.
Yeah.
And even from our, generations, like, oh my God, we were
Hmm.
not combative or,
Yeah.
to the staff
Yeah.
at all.
So, if there are
Hmm.
other parents who are
Excuse me.
considering homeschooling, whether it's 100% or whether it's a model as you follow, where it's like 10% live
Hmm.
instruction, then 90% you, what advice would you give to other parents who may be considering homeschooling?
Well, the first advice I would give, excuse me, and is just
No, you're
trust your
fine.
instincts.
Oh.
and knowing that even in our imperfections as parents, we love and know our children most of all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are using remote instruction, that the teacher may not always be right.
Yeah.
And also, we will learn by example. So, if our children see us reading or listening to audiobooks, for example,
Mm-hmm.
then and they may also acquire that desire to learn and appreciation for literacy.
Yeah.
I do recommend genealogy research, family tree research, so that they can kind of get a perspective of who they are and the family branch that they come from, and have a that I believe that will help enrich their sense of self pride,
Yes.
because everyone's story is different, so that when they do go to school and mingle, when they do happen to go back to school, if at all, in-person studies or so forth, or just in society, nobody can persuade them that they are less than who they are.
Yeah.
Yes, and also, I would say, let's believe and trust in God, as well as the many faceted gifts that He has placed in you.
Yeah. As the
Because
parent, as the homeschooler, right?
right,
Yes.
exactly, as the parent and homeschooler,
Mm-hmm.
because He knows you know that you're not perfect, but He knows your heart and He trusts you enough with your child.
Yes.
And forgive yourself when making mistakes.
Oh, yes. That's a big one.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah.
what advice would you offer parents in terms of organizing their day and keeping like a structure routine?
Well, my advice would include uh, starting, of course, with the core subjects. Be flexible to
Mm-hmm.
your child's individual needs.
Yes.
My son, Keaton, for example, this boy is a dancer. He is a, he just loves, he loves listening to educational rap and so forth. So he may just need to get up and listen to like I think MC Grammar
Mm-hmm.
or something,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and he just likes to dance.
Yeah.
So I I definitely recommend those fun resources where your child can just get up and dance. And what I have learned in my experiences is that after they dance and they kind of got that adrenaline out of their system and they're ready to sit down, then they will very likely be in the mindset of watching history, for example, some type of social studies.
Yeah.
That's a very good time to catch them in the mood
Yeah.
to watch social studies. I've noticed, at least with my son.
Yeah. So basically his dancing repertoires are
Hmm.
that's his recess.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Recess, a fun recess while
Yes.
learning.
Yeah.
And then and the thing about social studies is because it's either social studies or science, because they are like happy mediums,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense, because right after they dance, of course, they're not going to be in a mood to even watch math videos or sometimes even English. But if it's something engaging like social studies or a fun science video, then that's another fun way of
Yeah.
get them to learn while they're still decompressing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. And you mentioned be flexible, which is one of the biggest
Hmm.
pros of homeschooling, because when you have a class of 30 students, it's hard to be flexible because you're trying to meet the
Mm,
needs of 30 different kids. But when it's just one or maybe two or three, depending on how many kids you have, you can be more flexible,
right.
individualized
Totally. Right.
schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a huge blessing as far as having the ability to be flexible. And then, of course, spending that quality time with our children,
Yeah.
which is priceless at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of times, our children are not going to really remember our daily mistakes. What they are going to remember and take with them in life is that we told them we loved them a
Yeah.
100,000 times during the day.
Yeah.
We gave them positive affirmations. We hugged them 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then my son, I tell him every day that how there's billions of people in the world. Who's better than you? He says zero. And then I'll give them the iPad, for example. That's like the password.
Yeah. Oh, good. It's good.
So as long as they know that they are, loved and safe, I believe our children will thrive, you
Yeah.
know?
I was just wondering, I know you said you're a
Mhm.
member of lots of homes or a few different homeschooling groups on Facebook.
Yes.
Have you encountered many other Black parents who are homeschooling?
Uh, Not many, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um, I do have one friend out of state that I believe she homeschools, but not many.
yeah, yeah,
hmm
yeah.
that I'm aware of. I believe a lot of us may still be, using the public system
Mm-hmm.
platform likely because, as mothers, we may have to work,
Yes, correct.
but,
Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah, I
but,
was just wondering because I haven't encountered too many.
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are many reasons for that.
Right, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Economical probably
I
the
know.
first
Yeah,
reason.
definitely. I think
Yeah.
economical is like the main reason. I believe that probably all of us have the desire. And I mean, who doesn't want to be home anyway,
Yeah.
especially with our children,
Yeah.
you know, if
Yeah.
we can help it. But
Mm, yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful journey, to be blessed to be able to multitask. And one of the huge pros of homeschooling, remote school or homeschooling is, of course, that our children get to watch us in action work from
Hmm.
home, and they
Yeah.
can kind of get like in a sense, they can kind of be our understudy in a sense, and
Yeah.
just see how we interact and use the laptop or make appointments and so forth. And so they, without them even realizing it, so where they are actually obtaining life skills when it comes to career paths,
Hmm.
potential career paths as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for me, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, since COVID, a lot of people are now able to work from home. Perhaps, hopefully, will open the door for more mothers, especially
hmm
more black parents. I shouldn't say mothers, parents, especially more
Right.
Black parents who desire to
Yes.
homeschool to be able to do that. Although that still
Right.
is a juggle, also to be working full time from home and homeschooling, but it's definitely
Right.
more doable than if you have to leave the home and go to a
hmm
physical job every day.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, definitely.
yeah,
And it's very rewarding, and it very enriching. And I believe that it's so mutually beneficial because it not only instills the confidence in the children, because they know that we are protective of them, but it also builds our confidence, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
Because probably most of us feel that we know it's no way I can do what a teacher does,
yeah.
and I believe most the average parents may feel incompetent,
Hmm.
like for me, I'm shy. I struggle, you know, with my words at times and so forth.
Hmm.
But if God called me to do this, and I know that I can get through it by the grace of God.
Yeah.
And it's good to be able to have self confidence so that I can instill it in my son.
Yeah, that's good. I'm sure a lot of parents probably have more skill than they realize in terms of
hmm
coaching or guiding or even teaching their own children. Yeah,
Right, right,
yeah,
exactly. Must need it.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly Scott, for sharing with us about your homeschooling journey with your son.
Oh, oh, no problem, support. Thank you so much for having me. I definitely appreciate it
So tell us again,
as
if
well.
anybody is interested in looking at your planner or your book, was it how do you pronounce it? Mom Premier Mavericks, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so
mom.
if anybody's
Mhm.
interested in looking for your planner or your book, Mom Premier Mavericks, where can they find it?
My planner is found on Amazon
Mm-hmm,
under the first initial K
mm-hmm.
and then Don Scott.
Okay, all right. And your other book,
It's
Mom Premier Mavericks, the same thing?
Mom Premier Mavericks Balancing Business and Homeschooling in the Modern World.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be found on Apple as well as Barnes and Noble.
Oh, I see. So that one is not on Amazon.
No, that's on Apple as well as Barnes and Noble.
Okay, good.
Oh, no problem. This ebook is geared to assisting busy mom premiers on remote and homeschooling tips, as well as balancing their busy days during their careers.
Mm-hmm. And that sounds like a resource that I wish I had had 20 years ago when my kids were little.
No. Right?
Thank you so much, Kimberly Scott.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much, Sakura. I definitely appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Education Today. We'll be back next time with more current topics on all things education. In the meantime, you can email any questions or comments you have about the show to edtodaypodcast@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please hit the subscribe button on whichever platform you are listening so we can continue to expand our reach. We are listener supported, so if you're able to make a small monthly donation, you can do so by clicking the Support This Podcast link at the bottom of the show notes. Check out my blog for more about my experiences as a classroom teacher at medium.com/@SOCO. That's medium.com/@SOHKOR. You can also find me on Instagram at SOCO_writes. That's SOHKOR_writes. See you next time, and thank you again for listening.